All right. So, super quick recap. We talk about primitives, values, string, numbers, booleans. We talk about non-primitive values, objects and arrays. We talk about how to manipulate them. We talk a little bit how to change a property on an object or push an element to an array. We talk about how to manipulate those advanced objects. We quickly said that we can combine primitives, values, object, arrays to have even more complicated structures. We touched just for half a second. Before we carry on in that direction, so how to combine arrays and objects, for example, which is a super interesting topic. We need to talk about non-values. And I promise this is it gives headache. This honestly gives headache. This is almost poison.
Almost.
So you need. I wanna just warn you.
We can do it. We've come this far.
No. Oh yeah. No, I think you understand you can do it, but you need to.
100% of
be 100%.
Keep in mind that JavaScript was built in like a month.
Yeah.
They needed to ship something, so there's a lot of things that were not very well thought out.
Yeah, it's a language that's been designed super quickly and has a lot of weird things.
But it's been developed in 6 years, isn't it?
Like in the last 2-3 years, there's been a super strong development again, but for 15 years, nobody touched it. It works, it's fine. People know very well the quirks, they know all the way around, so that it's very old programming language nowadays, and people understood perfectly how it works, and no one can do anything about it. But now in the last 2-3 years, with the year 6, and now it's coming year 7, a lot of cool stuff that were already in other programming languages that are landing in JavaScript, which is year 6. But this thing, it is. No, so this particular topic is a bit weird with itself, and I think in other programming languages there is undefined anyway. So we need to understand there's null and undefined and so on and so forth. But let's start with undefined. Undefined is where your variable it's not defined. So there's no value. So there's no value in a variable. Remember when I did let q and then semicolon? I didn't do equal anything. Remember that I wrote that bit?
Yes.
The variable is there. A bit of memory is saved for store something, but in there's not. It's an empty box. We have a q, which is a box, but inside the box
It's still empty.
is undefined.
Undefined.
The q exists, but it's not set to anything yet. So it's undefined. Well, null, it is a value. And it's a value that most likely express that there is nothing in there. But it is a value that says nothing, no. So a variable set to null is not undefined, it's defined. Because the value is null.
But it doesn't contain anything.
But null is nothing. Null is it's a weird object that describes nothing. So the way I usually explain this in very simple terms, that undefined is probably because you have something that you're going to use later.
Mm-hmm.
So for a little bit of time in application to be defined yet, it's going to be defined. Null is when you know that you need a variable, but you want to define it to a certain value because probably you're going to use null for something later on. So you won't have that value in that variable, so you can do a specific check later on.
Can you maybe give us an example?
Yeah.
For a null?
I give an example. And for I don't know which reason null, it's an object. So if you do type of null, it's an object, which is very, very weird. So so let's go back to. So if I do this, and I do console q, it will be undefined. So q exists, but is not defined yet. That means that I can do this. Then if I console log this again after I set it, it will be undefined and it will be marked, right? And I think this is okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can also do this. And so it will be null and then marked. So now it's not undefined, it has a value, and that value is null. And this is all right because sometimes you don't want to just let the variable be undefined. You want the variable is defined and it's specific null. So you can do this if we don't know if yet, but if q is equal null, do something, right? So I can do this check. Obviously, you can do this check, and so you can do type of equal q is equal. But as you can see, it's a bit more cumbersome. I apply this rule. So you can follow this as a very simple rule. If you know that you're going to set the variables later, then undefined is perfectly fine. If you're going to use that variable for do a check before set it, it's better that you set to null, so we can do if q is equal null.
So basically, null is just
A value.
in case of, or like if you just want to check it.
Yeah, you have a
Check
value.
if it works.
Yeah, that's the way I use these things. I want to quickly introduce type of. Type of will tell you the type of a variable. This is very comfortable. You can see null, it's an object. An empty object is an object. Human with name, it's an object. Oops. It's an object. Tricky question. It's an object. I know. I've been there. It's weird. But array in JavaScript it's an object with different shape. It's the type of object. If you so yeah, array is considered a type, but in reality, if you do type of array, it still turns it's still an object. But we have string. So if human was Marco, this will say string. So I can I will say a number. So if I do human number. Then so if I have this, we will say boolean.
And,
Yeah, boolean is if it's true or false, it's type of boolean.
and if it's a number, what was the result?
If you say a number, it will say a number.
Number.
And this is also works for our pi. It's a number, even if it's a floating number or number, a negative number,
It's still a number.
is still a number. So if you do a minus 100, it's still a number. Okay.
So it's not as difficult as you make it sound.
No. It is just that the way you use it, it could be confusing. So remember that a type of array, it's an object. That's a weird thing. We have an instance of, and if you run things like connects should be I need to it's instance of, so you can do this instance of superhuman is array. I don't remember how to. Yeah, instance. Or is superhuman instance of array. Sorry, the syntax is different than typo. So you have type of, right, and instance of. So instance of will check a bit better. But you need to know if it's an array. So you can check if it's an array. So you can say superhuman is instance of array true. It's an instance of object true.
Oh.
Yeah, but if I do an object here, it will say it's an instance of object true, but it's an instance of array, I will say false. So you can, if you're clever, you can use instance of to distinguish between an array and an object if you need to. Another simple check. We say something interesting before. An array has a special property, which is length.
Yeah.
Remember that. So if I do, let's call it this Q. Let's go generic. If I do Q dot length, this would be 0, and if I put something in there, this would be let's put a number in this case, 20. This is length 1, right? The array is length 1. So of course, if this was an object, the object doesn't have length. So that's another way I can distinguish. If it has length,
Because length is only for array.
yeah, exactly. If it has length, it's an array. That's another way you can try. I've seen it. I've seen probably 20 ways of checking if it's an array or not. There are many different ways. Like the simple one is to use the instance of array, or if it has a property length. And the problem is with length that if you're very unfortunate, there's actually a length in there. And then we return something completely crazy, which is 20, and you think, oh, okay, this is an array long 20, and then you say, oh, perfect, then I can do console log Q of 10, and your computer will explode. because it's undefined. So what? But q of length. So this is an array long 20. Why doesn't exist at 10? Because you're being very unfortunate. This object has a property called length, so it seems like an array. So be careful.
That's really bad luck.
That's bad luck. Yeah, it is. Okay, but obviously, instance of array. That's like the super safe way of doing it.
How do I the other program to check if is it array or not?
Yeah, if it's array, you can. So if I go back this example, so if we have an array of numbers and it's 20, then I can do q instance of array, and this will say true. Oops. Q instance of array. Yeah. Remember that sometimes just being gets stuck. It's better to refresh the page to get the great results. But yeah, if you do a q instance of array, will return true. So you can do. We don't know if yet, but we will come to the point. You can do if q instance of array. Then you do something with array. Then you can do else if q instance of object.
And you do something else.
Yeah, you do something else with object, right? Something like that. So you instance of like is your super safe option. Together with instance of you have a type of. There is an expense to run those checks, but you're not considering performance now, so forget about it.
But now we're curious, what's the expense?
Yeah, like those checks, they cost a little bit of CPU time. Obviously, when we talk about web application, those expenses super small that you didn't even think about. But JavaScript is also used in robots, for example. And for real-time application and robots, milliseconds matters. Because when you start to add milliseconds on top of milliseconds, some point it became half seconds. And then the real-time approach, it starts to fall apart. Therefore, you have an extra eye of performance. Because JavaScript is also run by drones and other robots. So you will start to think, oh, instance of this is super expensive. I'll just check for a property if it exists, or I'll carry on. But in our case, this is you don't have to think about it. Just leave this here. Okay, so known values. I'll make some questions so to double check that everything is fine. So when I will get undefined.
When the variable
When I create a variable and I'm going to do the value.
Just a variable.
Yeah.
Also is array. If you create array without
Any variable. A variable could be
yeah.
I mean, the variable could be an array, a string, a boolean, object, a date. I'm talking about date, but it could be a date. And so that's the case. And why I should set to null, for example. Can someone come up with an example? Why I should set variable to null?
So it becomes an object.
Yeah, but I could also make it become an object just using a handle.
Let me check if something works.
If I wanna check the variable is there and then it's been set now. So null is like a value, a special value that I can check for. For example, if I reset a loop, then in the end I will set the variable to null. Then if it's undefined, the loop didn't start. But if it's set to null, means the loop has been run already once, for example. But it has no value.
I don't get it. I don't understand what's the use of now.
I think it's hard now it's hard for you to appreciate null because we are not in the real example in the specific code.
And you apply it, we get it.
But we apply that, we get it. And the difference is that null is a value. So a variable that is equal to null, it's a variable that it is defined, and the value is null.
So it's like any other value.
Yeah, but you can specifically check on that.
And you can specifically check on other values.
And, you could also do that.
Then what's the difference?
You could sometimes, for example, you set. Let's say you have a loop, right?
Yes.
And then loop is a number that changes from 0 to 20. At some point, you want that variable. You want to stop the loop and set that variable to null. So the next time you go to the loop, you check that variable is null, and then you can start again the loop, right? Let's do again. So instead of leave the variable as, let's say the loop was 20, instead of leave as last value of the loop, for safety reason, you set null. Because you cannot reset it to undefined. Once you set it, you cannot make a variable undefined again. So the only option you have is to set null, which means that it's nothing, the variable needs to be reinitialized and its real value again. I'll show you some examples that you see that makes a lot of sense.
What I can remember from necessity, undefined is used when you haven't got the value.
Yeah.
Then you use no minor or before the definition.
Yeah. And then you set to null to say this is nothing. But it is defined.
So it's defined, but you don't want it to work right now.
Yeah, it is defined, but it's not. It's not.
Okay.
But it is defined.
Yeah, it is defined.
And the problem that is an undefined variable, Q, when you set it, let's say, to 20.
Maybe you want to define it again, but you can't go back to undefined.
Exactly, you cannot undefine it variable.
So it's like, it's not commenting, but it's like the value is there, but you want it to not work for a few minutes, seconds, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's no.
Yeah, there's a null.
Okay.
And you can check on that, because null is an object, and the ID of null is always the same. So you can check on that. You can say this is null. It's null.
So it's defined, you want to act it as undefined, and you can like search for it.
Yeah. So for example, I can do this check. This check is a super valid. If I do null, and I do if Q is null, just console log.
But it's you who gives the value.
Yeah, in this case, yeah, I'm setting it to null. Yeah. Yeah. I think when you see together with the code, it would make sense to you to say, okay, oh, this variable is null, that I can do this instead, and it's weird. Okay, I'm happy that wasn't that painful. So now that we have variables, we can. That's nice. We can install something on our code. Now we can play with it. We can check. Like for example, we use this. We can do comparison operators. We can add logical operators. We can have arithmetic operators. So we can do something with those variables. We can change them. We can let them work together. Now, let's start with logical operators. So the first three, basically, this is 1, 2, and 3.
And or not.
Yeah, we have and or and not. And you write with the double ampersand, double pi, and exclamation mark. So let's start with arithmetic, logical operators. So it's kind of interesting this. So if I do let's start with Boolean first. Let's start with Boolean. So if I do true and false, we didn't play a lot with Boolean, so I'll start with Booleans. It makes a lot of sense in this example. So true and false is false. The logical end, it will give true only if both
Of them is true.
are true, yeah.
That's like positive and negative.
Yeah.
If there's a positive
So-
and negative, it's always a negative.
Yeah. So if I have one more true, it will still be false because
There's a false.
there is a false in there. So end will be, if that true and that true and that true is true. If this is true and this is false, it's going to be false no matter what. If there is one false basically in there, it's going to be false. Those are logical operations.
And two false is also a false.
True, false is true.
Two false is false.
Two negatives is always
Yeah.
not.
No.
Two negatives is a positive.
There will be an extend in logical operations. So this is the end. When I finish this, I have an exercise for you right after. So because I want that you play with the and or and not operation because those are super essential for your logic of application. You use tons of this in if and in switch cases in any program that you write. You would write one of them, 100% sure. So I have a specific exercise where you're on your own and you double check. I'm just doing some examples now to give you a bit of knowledge, but you need to understand and play on your own later on. So this is end. You can have a 2 or 3 or whatever. So I can have 3. And this is the false. They need to be true, all of them, to be true. Now, watch out for this. This is a bit tricky. So if you have a value now, end here we say if there is a value, any value. This is in this case it's 0. And 0 and true. This will be evaluated immediately, and if exists, it will return. So that's why it's returning 0.
What do you mean if it exists?
So this is a value, and it will return this value.
Can you put the first number 0, 1?
So if I had 0 and 1,
Which is the
this will return 0 because this is because it's an existing value. It will return 0. Now you can. So now I'm using numbers with the logical operators. It is a bit weird, but you can do it. And I can show you in this case, for example. This is very, very common. So let's create 2 variables. So we saw the end. Yeah, this is the or. So this is very, very, very common. This means if Q exists, is a truthy value, give me Q. Otherwise, or give me T.
This is going to give Marco.
Yeah. Oh, watch out for what I did here. So,
So long.
wait a second. Okay, strangely doesn't work, but it should. Okay, but basically, I think I have some issue with. Okay.
Maybe even goes after Marco. But Q is false. Yeah.
Okay. No.
No, it won't work.
Okay. It's time to introduce you the console log of your browser. So if you go in developer, you can toggle developers tools, which is on. So I want to introduce you to the browser environment now, where you can run code in the browser. So every browser has this developer tool. I'm using Chrome mainly, but this is also on Firefox and Safari and Opera, whatever.
And what is it?
In Chrome is where I'm pointing at. So it's View, Developer Tools.
I found it with more tools for me.
Yeah, it depends. I think if you are on Windows or Mac, it's slightly. I think we are. Yeah, you can also do a command. Yeah, if you do on console. So if you have a console here, you see there's like there are tabs on top. There's console. Is everyone there?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go on, yeah, you wanna have it down. You can go here and change the dock side. So if you go on the right corner here, there's those 3 dots. Then you can have dock side and. So for clear the space, you do clear, and actually I advise you to work on a blank page so you don't see any other errors. Okay, so so here I can write JavaScript in the console. So I can do const t equal Marco, and then if I do t, it will say Marco. Yeah. So t would be Marco. So now I can do const q, define q. Oh, it's a const. That's why.
Well, if it's a const, it doesn't work.
No, const cannot be. Const has to be initialized. So you see, missing initialization is const declaration. You cannot just have const q. You need to have a value. So if you have const, you need to set it to a value. We said this before. Yeah, exactly. So it makes no sense to have an undefined variable that you cannot change.
So that's why it didn't work before.
Yeah, that's why it didn't work before. So now we have a q, which is undefined, and we have t that is Marco. So now if we go q and t, this is q or t, this will return Marco. Because q is undefined, we return t. So if I go back to my just bin, I should have just do this to make my example work. Yeah. What's the const problem? Okay. I'll switch back to JSBin. Or you prefer the console?
Um,
JSBin, it's fine?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
but
Okay.
no, never mind. Later.
So, so I have an undefined variable and a const variable called t set to Marco as a string, and this console log say if q, give me q, otherwise give me t. If q was set to accurate future or 10, this will return 10 and will never return Marco. So we return the first one that is a truly value. So not undefined, null, or empty string. So this is also not okay. This will return Marco because an empty string is considered false. It's considered like a falsy value. False is also false, so we return Marco. But an empty object, even if it's empty, it's true, and we return an empty object. An array, an array will also be a truthy value, a truthy value, and therefore it will return the array. A Marco will never be returned. So this is, but if it's a 0, 0 is considered a false value. Therefore, Marco is to return it.
What if you put it in null?
Why is false?
0 is false.
Is it number?
It's a number, but because it's 0, it's false. But if it was 1, it will return 1.
What about minus?
Minus 1 is minus 1. Only 0 is considered as false.
What if you want to show the number 0?
Nice.
Do
If you
write 0 or what about null?
Oh, null is considered a false value. So we return Marco. Yeah.
I don't like null.
Okay, but so we have truthy and falsy values. So of course false is a false value, null is a false value, undefined is a false value. So when they are evaluated in logic operators, one that we saw and or, those values are going to be transformed in Boolean. Therefore, a null will be transformed in false. Or a 0 will be transformed in false. So I actually 0 is transformed in false. But minus 10 is true. Only the 0 represented numbers is a false value. And any other value will be a true value. We are transformed in true.
This will be a value.
Yeah, exactly. So there was like a little bit of logical operators. Also, we have not. Not will reverse. So if you have a variable called q that's true, and then you do console log not of q, it will be false. And if I do, if this is 0, nice. And this is if it's null, if it's also true, and if it's an empty object,
False.
nice.
If it's a string.
If it's a string and it's empty, if it's string, this would be true because an empty string is false, and then not of false is true.
So if it's not empty.
If it's not empty, but they say actual future here, then this would be false. So an empty string is considered false value, like null, like undefined, like it's 0.
You should have written null. I said we should have been writing notes.
No, they are all here.
Nice.
So if you go on somewhere here, open poem. Yeah. Undefined null, Boolean false, numbered 0 and NaN, which is not a number, and string, empty strings. Those are.
A string. It can be just one apostrophe or
Yeah,
two
yeah,
apostrophes,
yeah.
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, watch out that two apostrophes or one is still a string. So this is a string, but also this is a string.
And you can't have let q equals href with two apostrophes, and then let q with one apostrophe, and it's the same.
Yeah, those are the same.
Yeah.
Those are the same. In fact, if I do q equal t,
It's gonna be
yeah, they're the same. The good things about the two and single apostrophe that this allow you to have apostrophe inside or two apostrophe inside.
For what is
So if you console log them, you can also console but side by side. So if you have console log q comma t, it will do both of them in one go.
Oh, okay.
where is it from?
That's what
Yeah, because it's a special character, it has to be escaped. And that's the escape character. But we're going to see this also. So like this.
But then when you wrote it with one apostrophe, why is it okay? Why did you clear it? I'm stuck.
Okay.
Let t, it's with one apostrophe outside. Why is it with two apostrophes now?
Because the two apostrophe is special character, not this. A special char. A special char needs to be escaped. So basically, it needs to distinguish between this and this. Therefore, there's this backslash in front. But it's a special case. I don't want to focus much about it.
Good.
Perfect. Don't worry about it. But between two apostrophes and one is the same. You write whatever how you feel like. Okay. And yeah, console log, tiny tip. You can have commas and put many variables at the same time. So otherwise, you need to write this.
And there can't be a space between the two.
Yeah, you can have this also many spaces.
So it doesn't matter.
No, it's alright.
Does it print 2 or 1?
No, it's up to you. You can use 2 or 1.
I mean, does it print Q and T? Is it printing Q and T at the same time?
Yeah. You will print both at the same time. So in fact, if I call this Marco, you can see the difference. This will print Marco and active future in one go. Okay. So logical operators, we said that there are 3. We have AND, OR, and NOT.
No.
Now we all done a little bit with the comparison operators, and I would like that you try this. So exercise 1, let's play with logical operators, and I would like that you type those things yourself, and you spend 10-15 minutes to see what's happening here, and then try to give an explanation to yourself what is happening, and if you don't understand, I'll comment. Oh yeah, sure. You go find me. That will be safe. If you go file. This is. But if you go new, you can new one and save the previous one. So we do like 15 minutes, then at 35 we move forward.
When I took, and then it's true. But when I switch, then it's one. Why?
That because this one is transformed in a Boolean and then when the true, you will be true. But when you switch them around,
Just remember.
that's the will return a number.
So when it's here, it's like it's a what's called Boolean.
Yeah, the one is considered like a true. So you true and true is true.
But when I put 0, it's not considered a Boolean. But 0 is not considered a number either.
Now, if you do one, it will be true.
Can you repeat why?
Which one? So the first and second. Okay. So the first and second, when you have this one,
Yeah.
what is happening? That this one
It's appearing as true.
is considered a true, and then the true and true is true. Here is evaluated only the last one, because there's a number in the end, and then the number won't be transformed. Now this one, oops. This slide. console.log 0 and was like 0 and true. Yeah. So in this case, this you're expecting. I was expecting actually that this would be transformed in Boolean, and there would be true and true, and this would be transformed in false, and false and true would be false. But instead, this would be true, and this would be 0. There is a specific order based on don't know what, honestly. I don't know the order, but the normalization, the transformation of types is not exactly the same. That's why I came up with those examples to show that the order matters. That's the takeaway here. That the orders matters. This is not the same as this, or neither is this true and 1. They are not the same, even if they. So the order matters. The way the logical operator it's transformed and processed is different based on different order. But I want that you play with it. It is all this is super tricky. So don't. I don't expect that you know all of it, because honestly I don't even know. But I want that you are aware that there are those quirks. I know that you are. I know that you are. I want that you know that these things can happen. That's enough. That's a good learning. Great. Yeah.
I don't know why it's bringing 1 now. Why is the result as 1?
Yeah, as I said, the order, the way, the order that I executed in methods, the transformation is not the same. So in this particular case, it's transforming. I think it's transforming the 1 in true, and this will be true and true. But in this case, it will say true and 1, and then this true will not be considered and just return the last 1. In fact, I think if I put whatever number I put instead of 1, it would be a return. So if I put this, it will probably return 0. Yeah. And if I put a string, it will return the string. Yeah. So if starting with a boolean and then having another value, it will just return the last value. The idea here that I don't want that you know all those different quirks and prioritization of transformation in logical operations, because I don't even know. But I want that you remember that the order matters. And then you know that you can test it out. You can open just bin or whatever, and you can test it, and you know, you are aware that one and true and 1 might come with different results. And this is a language thing that you can know nothing about. Only things you can do is be aware of and play along.
And it's 0 or true. It's a true.
Yeah, because 0. And they need to be both true and will return the last. This is the way I see.
Yes.
But if you're using the OR operator, the OR operator is a bit simpler in this sense. So yeah. One is a truth value. So it will return 1.
But 0 isn't it a false value?
So if I do 0 and I run it, since this is a false value, it will go to true. Yeah. So if the first is true, I will return the first. If it's not true, I will return the second value.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
It doesn't matter if the second is a false or true. It just will return to the second.
If they're both false.
Yeah, if this is a false, it will just return false. Yeah. So if the first is true, it will return it. If it's the first element is false, it will return the second no matter what. So I think always a little bit easier to understand.
Yeah.
And if they're both 0, it's a 0.
And also I didn't write in an exercise, but I tried to use also the not operation. So like an interesting one could be if I have a true and
Not false. It's true. No.
Already not.
I've two nots here.
Oh, okay.
So 0 is false, and with the one not operation became true, but with one more not operation is false.
So you can put multiple nots.
Yeah.
What's stopping you from putting 5 nots?
So if this is a true and true, this will be true. Yeah, tricky. For example, an empty string. So if I have an empty string
False.
with not, this would be false. So this is true, and true is true. So if I run it, so and watch out for this. So if I have a variable called q, and q is a string. And then I can actually even have a marker here. Then I can do q is double 2 knots of q.
It's a still
So it's marked.
So this is my first q, and this is my second q. So what do you think is going on? So this will be this will print Marco here, right? So it will be my first q Marco. Then I not q once. So this is from be a string. Yes, it would be a boolean. It would be false. But with one more not in front, it's going to be
True.
True.
It's not Marco.
no. We change type by logical operations. Therefore, this is going to be true. So my first q Marco, my second q true, because those double not here.
Mm-hmm.
So now with logical operation, I went from a string to a boolean. And I can do the same with numbers. So if this was a number, this would be false, this would be 0, and then this would be false. Because 0, not 0, it would be true, but not true would be false. Be 0 false. Yeah. So again, I went from a number to a boolean by logical operation transformation, which is perfectly fine. In some cases, it is really nice to check to transform a number into boolean, to do the form and check and whatever. So that should be no problem. But I understand that it's confusing. I mean, it's weird, and it's not common in programming languages to be able to do this. As I said, we are changing type here, and it's not nice. But it is used everywhere. Okay, it's 35. Let's have a bit more another exercise. Let me introduce quickly the. So we had a look at this logical operators, and so binary logical operators and prefix, not. We have the comparison operators. We already have had a look at them.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. We had the 3 equal and the 2 equal. Let's play with those 2.
Okay, not.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, this is if it's equal, this is not equal, we type check, and not equal without type check. Let's play with those two so we complete the comparison. So if I go back here, I can. So Q is different than. Okay, I'm mixing now. I'm mixing. So Q is 0, right? Q naught is
It's not true.
It should be going
Not Q.
Q is 0, right?
Yeah.
It's what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Q naught is true. Because zero
Yeah,
zero is
Q
false.
alone
You
is
said
0.
Q is 0, which means it's false.
Yeah. So this is 0. This is
Zero.
This is true. This is true. Because not of 0
0 is true.
is true. And we are saying that those two are the
Are
different.
not equal. And that's true.
Exactly.
Are different types of spelling.
Are not equals. Fact is true. Okay. It's tricky, right? Because here I'm also changing type, and I'm doing should we try to sign here? We have 1, 2, 3, and it's gonna be a type check. Even though it's gonna be, I mean, the type check doesn't really matter here because I'm different. So this will be still true. Let's have T. So this will be T. That's false because they are equal. But what if I do this?
False. Wait.
It should be
Q is 0.
So it's
Yeah, false. What for? Q
But you
is
change the
0.
type of 0,
T is false.
and that they are not equal.
They're not equal.
It's different type now.
Exactly. Remember that the tree, because there are 3 here, it's gonna do type check, and when I do double not in front of a number, it became a boolean, and the 2 types are different. Therefore,
So that's why.
this is a different.
So it's the 0 is not equal to false.
Yeah.
Like in this, like the type.
But
I
if
mean.
it's just one, can it be 1? Like not equal. No, the one
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Q.
Not Q and not T are
not
different.
Q, not equal, not double equal.
This one.
Yeah, remove the equal and remove 2 equals and it's not.
So I remove the 2 equals. I do this.
Yeah, and then not Q.
That's a good point. So this is gonna be 0. This is gonna be 0.
This is gonna be not 0.
This is gonna be true. And you're soft checking, so you wanna have maybe one more if you wanna have a true. Because this is gonna be 0, and this is gonna be, this one is gonna be evaluated as true, and then false, and false and 0 are different false, because they're actually equal. So therefore, this will be true, right? So Q, let's try it here. Q, I know it's tricky. So this one is a number and it's 0. This one is a boolean and it's true. You agree
Wait,
with me?
the 1 equal sign. What does the 1 equal sign mean? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry guys, it's my fault.
So two. If there are 2 here, so
Okay.
let's say 2 equals or 1 exclamation mark or 1 equal, is not going to check for type.
Type.
Therefore, if they both evaluate at falsy, or truthy values,
They would be equal.
they will be equal.
Okay.
If there are three, sorry,
That's
three
correct.
is going to check for type. Okay, so in this example, we have a number, and I can console log this to show you. This is a boolean. So if I run this, it's a boolean, you see? But q is a number. So if I'm using only 2, it's fine because the type doesn't really matter, right? So this is a true, and this is a false value. Are they different?
Yes.
Yes, they are different. Now, if I do this,
False.
yes, because it's going to check for type, and this is a number, and this is a boolean. So this is...
What?
This should be a false, though. Definitely a false, because... Oh, sorry, if I do this and do this. Yeah. When it's different, it is different, so it's fine. But when you do triple equal, you will check for the type. So triple equal. So q is 0, it's a number, and this one, it's a boolean.
If there are 2 equals, it's not going to check for the type. 2 equals and then exclamation mark.
Yeah,
It's not going to check for type.
no.
And if there's only 1 equal and an exclamation mark, it's not going to
No.
check for type.
No, it's only triple equal. It's gonna check for the type.
So, what can we have 3 equals and an exclamation mark?
No, no, because when you check for differences, it won't matter the type. This is how it is. But as I said, you don't need to know every current case. Now we are really, pushing the limits to see all the quirks of the language. Let's move with the ordering operators. So equal, less, less and equal. More and equal, less and equal. So let's start with numbers. So let's console log q is more than 0. Sorry, more than c. Yes, 10 is more than 0. So this is evaluated as true.
Can we insert exclamation?
So if I do 10, it's false because 10 is no more than 10.
It's equal.
But if I do this,
Or
yeah, so it would be if it's more or equal, that would, and I can do the other way around.
it's a smiley.
And so this is very simple. So we can have 20. So 20 is more than 10. If I 2, it's false. So, no, but with logical. So the logical operators with type with dynamic language. So the type change. It's tricky as hell. It is what it is, and you need to learn to avoid to use them. Keep your type consistent and check. It is tricky to use, and we will see in examples and the code that we will write that in some cases it's super comfy to have a not and transform a value in a boolean and carry on checking, but
It can also be it can backfire.
It can backfire. So if you have full control, then you use it. Otherwise, you avoid and you find another way for checking instead of
type transformation with the Boolean operator. It is tricky though. I completely agree with you guys. It's mind blowing sometimes. No, that's not true. No, that's not true.
What did you say?
That stay away from programming in JavaScript. No, that's not true. I'm still healthy after many years of programming. So, okay, so I think this is quite simple. It's not super tricky. Ordering operators. I think this is it's okay.
Something that's
We have a lot of very simple arithmetic operation. So plus, minus, multiply, and division. And I think this is very simple as well.
Yeah.
You have reminder. You know what is a reminder?
No.
Okay, so if I divide 9 by 3, the remainder is 0 because I can divide. Yeah, there are no remainders, right? So, but if I do 10 divided 3, it's going to be 1. Yeah. So that's the.
10 divided by 3.
The 10 divided 3, it's going to be 3, 3, 3, and then there's the remainder is 1. Yeah. And the remainder. Yeah. Yeah, and the remainder you do like this. So if I you see this one. So that's very simple. Then we have the increment, decrement, negate, and convert to number. It's an interesting one. So we can increment a value. So we can have console log.
What does increment mean?
Increment is like to add 1, for example, or subtract 1, the decrement. So
addition.
Yeah, but you write like this. Yeah. So if you do this and then you console log q, instead of have 10, you will have 11. So plus it means that plus 1. It's pretty much the same to write this.
Why is not
This is very very much the same writing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's the same, and so yeah, this is a bit more comfortable to write because it's a smaller. I want to show you something. If I do in here and you run it, you're not get 11 because in the second this execute is still 10, but then when you console log again, you need to be careful about this. This is another weird stuff. So this is the first, this is the second. So this one I'm incrementing, but this is still 10. But the next execution it will be 11. You see 10, but it will be 11. If I want to be 11 also here, I need to put the plus in front. So this will increment and set in one line, where this one will just increment, but it will not be set until you call it again. So this, I run it again, this will be 10, 11, but this will be 11, 11. So watch out, because sometimes you see, oh, what, the plus in front, I never seen them. It's because he wants to increment and set the variable
At the same time.
at exactly the same time. You can put, yeah, you can, yeah, exactly. And the minus works pretty much the same way. So it is the same. So if you put it after one set, this is the same as q equal q minus 1. If you put after one set, if you put before the variable, it will decrement and set. So if I put minus here,
Then we leave it. Then
it would be a 9 and 9.
Can you put minus before and after the key?
I never tried. No, I think it's it doesn't like that.
Okay.
Okay, but plus plus and minus minus is to decrement and increment, and they're very comfortable because they're super short to write.
And what about convert to number?
Yeah. And then we have
Negate and convert to number.
we have negate of obviously if you have a number 10 and you want the negative of that number, you just put a minus in front. So this will do basically minus the value, so minus
You don't
10.
have to call it again.
No. This will set automatically on the way, and then you can and with plus value it will convert to number. This is interesting. So obviously, if I do this, nothing really changed, right? So value. So of course, 10 plus 10 is still 10, but what if this is a string and I do plus in front of a string? This is a number now. So the plus string will allow me to transform from string to a number. You see? So
Because it froze while you were working, you didn't get it.
so let's do those. So if I console log q, it will display string. But if I do plus q, that q will be transformed in a number. Yeah, very good.
And
If I do this, I think it's a very, very, very good example. So this is a string, and this is a number. This would be 1, 0, 3. Because I'm concatenating a string with a number, and the number will be transformed in a string, and then it would be string plus string, and there would be 10, 1 or 0, 3. But if I have plus q plus t, this plus q will transform that 10 in a number 10, and then it will be 10 plus t, it will be 13.
You have to remember there were no spaces.
can you make type of Q now after we make it the number? Is it gonna be number or type of Q? We make
Yeah.
in the end, like
Yeah, absolutely. Also, that's very, very good point. Good guys. So if I do very, very good. Type of Yeah, very good. So if you see a Q is a string, and type of Q is a string, but type of plus Q is a number.
Console log
Yeah.
Q plus 3. Why can you explain again why the 3 turned into part of the string?
So if I do this, and if I do this,
I got the same.
so Q plus T, this is a string,
Yes.
and this is a number.
Yes.
Now this number will be transformed in a string. So this number will become something like this. And those strings will be concatenated, and there will be this.
102. Okay.
Here, this will be 10,
A number.
a number, and 10 plus 3, it's definitely not a string, but it's a number, it's 13.
Got it.
Perfect. Yeah, play a little bit and for next week, try again all of it we've done, all the exercise. Try to play again with concatenate strings, numbers, type transformation, Boolean, and me and Alicia will work with a set of exercise that we'll give you, and then you can we will randomly pick some of you, and we will do the exercise together in the first 10-15 minutes. We will go through.
Marco, did you have the second part of recording also?
Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do, there are a lot of critics here, and I admit that it's not some parts, most of the logical parts, it's insane. So what I would like to do is that you recap everything on your own. So the same exercise, you just redo it and double check if you understand. And then probably in the middle of the week, Monday, Tuesday, we come up with more exercise. This exercise are mandatory for next week. And it won't be much, but I would like that everyone does it, and then we will randomly pick 2 or 3 of you, come on this side and explain and recap basically. We go through the exercise and recap all the hardest part, not the exercise. We will start.
So do we do the homework week 1 that's listed on the GitHub page or no?
No.
No.
No, we come up with some exercise for you. Specific.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Wait, you're done? Oh.
Yes, 4.
You don't want to go home?
I'm not sure. I'm having fun.
Okay. We are just surviving this week.
See you. Right? Bye.
No, I just got this lesson. That's all. I really got it. Very hard.
Absolutely, Professor. Thank you. Should we prepare some exercise for them and select them with the.
Thank you for today.
Absolutely, thank you. I'll come up with something.
Yeah,
You can, you can
I'll
do-
do that too. And for next.
Bye-bye.
Are we introducing functions?
I think next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Is that your mobile?
I think we have.
No, it's Christopher's.
I'll just take it.
Yeah. We advanced data type, objects, conditions, statement versus expression, loops, for and while, and functions.
Yeah, okay. That's
Yeah.
I can prepare the slides for that.
It's alright. I don't mind to do it, but as you want. If you want to do it, it's fine. But we just carry on this slide.
Yeah,
We have one big slide.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So because like there's no line that cut anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was adding some string and objects and some examples of methods you can do on strings and objects on array, whatever. We can start from there. we try to combine, so we can have like an object that contains array of strings,
Yeah.
a bit more complicated. And then basically I'm following this one. So yeah, advanced data type, and then we can go with if and switch, statements, expressions, loops, function. That's gonna be crazy next week. But I think after this class we can give very serious exercises.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Because when we did functions and they have if and loops, they can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
And the exercises that we send them this week, do you want them to hand those in, or should they upload those to GitHub?
No, they can do. I was thinking to give some codependent
Yeah. Okay.
to them, like 3, 4, 5 codependent with some stuff that we didn't to check and prove, and we didn't to write some code.
Yeah.
And then you randomly pick 2, 3 guys, usually the good ones, and you know that are a good exercise, and we recap and through the exercise the quirky parts, because the Boolean operators, you know, when you use and with mixed types, it's very tricky.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict with the browser or the compiler is meant to do that, but it is a way for the cap. It's unnecessary that you push them to the exercise, because the one that they want to study, they will do on their own anyway.
That's true. I like that.
So you just give a tiny bit to let them think. And the curious people will do more on their own.
They were already doing.
Yeah, exactly. So and one day they want to do, no matter how much exercise you give them, they won't do it anyway.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
And yeah, but if you want to help me with the slides or the documentation, the material, that would be nice.
I will.
Perfect. So no worries. Yeah, absolutely.
That's